Hey everybody, this is Strategywizard again. This is going to be a review of Simurgh, I believe it's called. This is designed by Pierluca Zizzi. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 plus, 45 to 90 minutes. Could be shorter depending on who you're playing with. And it's published by NSKN Games. You would never know that by their logo because they have a dragon as the S, and it doesn't really look like an S. But I looked in the manual and it figured that out. But I don't know anything else that they've done. But the reason why I got interested in this game and why I took a chance on it, because it's a worker placement game, and I in general don't really care for worker placement games. I don't hate them or anything, but it's not the type of thing I really want in my collection. It's nothing that I'm like, ooh, gotta have a worker placement game. I have played several, and I have come to the conclusion that I don't really care for them. But the reason why I took a chance with this one is, one, I like dragons a lot, and Simurgh has a lot of dragons. So that was the theme I thought might help carry me over. I was also interested in having one big worker placement game in my collection just because I didn't have any other ones, so I figured it was maybe worth a shot. And you know, we'll see. Maybe I'll explain to you how the game works, and I will let you know, did it exceed my expectations or not? Yeah, let's go down and we'll talk about it. Okay, so Simurgh is pretty big. This board is massive, as you can see. Lots of components. Trying to keep it all on one screen is actually pretty challenging here, but I'm going to do the best I can to kind of go over everything. I'm not going to go over all the rules because there's a lot of nitpicky things and whatever, but overall it's pretty straightforward and simple. I'm just not going to go over all the nitty-gritty details. So to start off, we have a setup here for 2 players. We've got blue and black over here. And each player is going to get some certain things to start off with. They have a player board where they can put all their different resources they're going to collect over the course of the game. Now, these resources, there's a whole bunch of different ones, and they're all lined up over there. You have iron, wood, vegetables, meat, dragon tokens that go on your dragon boards, and then you have scrolls and spears. You start off with the same things every time, and on your board it shows you how many pieces of how many total inventory items you can hold, and which is handy. But the only problem is, as you can see, these boards, these squares are so tiny that it gets very cluttered trying to keep track of everything, especially because like the meat and the scrolls take up more space than a square. So that can be a little frustrating, but it still gives you the idea. And if you, and it works. It's just, it looks a little crazy whenever you have all the pieces there. But so you have this, you have your starting resources. You each get 1 power tile, which is designated by this nice little fist here. Power is what you're trying to get. You'll have these markers over here for your color, and that massive track, the wall of the castle, I guess you could say, or the wall of the town, is the point track. So you'll be moving along getting points, and points are gained by getting these wonderful little fists. So basically what happens is, over the course of the game, you'll get points by getting these fists, but overall, your points are going to come from objective tiles, possibly, or, well, it really depends. Depending on how you play, it could be most of them come from objective tiles, but it could be most of them you get from these tiles, but we'll go over that in a little bit. But everyone starts off with 4. You have a power one, gosh, what is this called? I don't even remember what this one's called. It might be research, production, and I think travel or exploration tile. Everyone gets 1 of each. The power tiles, once you've given every player 1 of these, the rest of them go in the box and you never see them again. But these, the regular ones, they're all going to go in this stack over here. And 4 will be turned face up here, which you'll be able to get more of later. You also start off with a dragon. Your dragons start off with 3 tokens. These 3 tokens let you use their special abilities. The special abilities involve getting more resources and all that kind of stuff, but they're all different, and whenever you spend the token, that means you can't use that ability again. Although you are able to get replenished tokens on a dragon if you go to certain places on the board. And then, really, that is what you start with. That's what, and you start off with 1 spearman, 1 dragon. You can recruit more later. So that's the startup. You just have your resources, your tiles, and your dragon and your workers. There's more dragons that you can collect over the course of the game. There's more tiles to collect over the course of the game. And, of course, your workers. Now, the way the actual gameplay works towards the objective, since you're trying to get points, and you can get points by going on these tiles or going through objectives, you have to find the most efficient way to do that. And basically, on your turn, you have two main actions you can choose from. You can either place a worker, or you can place, or you can take your workers back, I should say, before I move on to this part. You can either place a worker, or you can take any number of your workers back. So let's say I put this guy here on my turn, this guy goes over here, and then maybe instead of placing this dragon, I could just take this guy back. That doesn't necessarily make sense right now. Or I could put my dragon out here, and then on my next turn, I can take both of them back or just one of them. It's your choice, and that becomes important depending on the circumstances that you're in. So you're placing your workers and you're getting whatever the spots say. Your dragon riders are special because they're the only ones that can go on the dragon spaces. So anytime you have a tile or a location that has a dragon symbol on it, only the dragon riders can go there. But either worker can go on any spot that's just a regular circle. The other important thing is, in most worker placement games, for the most part, that I've played anyway, most of the time, if someone goes somewhere, the other person cannot go there. And here, there's a lot of places you can always go to. Any spot that has four little rings in the big ring, that means any number of workers can be there. So any number of dragon riders can go there. Any number of dragon riders or spearmen can go here. So it makes it to where you have a lot of options all the time. People aren't blocking you usually from important places. The only two places at the beginning of the game that are single use only are these two spots. So this one gets you 2 scrolls, this one gets you a spear. Everything else anybody can go to, and so that keeps everything very open at the beginning. However, these tiles that you place, and I told you, now just let me make sure I say this, these are called vassals. Dragon riders and spearmen are both vassals, but dragon riders are a specific type of vassal. Spearmen are a specific type of vassal. But whenever you can place, as I already told you, on your turn, you can either place a vassal and do whatever the location says to do, or you can take back any number of your workers. But a free action that you can take, there's 3 free actions. One of them is you can place a tile in the wilds, and how many of those are available depends on the number of players. In a 2-player game, it's only going to be the ones on the left side over here. Now, the thing is, whenever you place these, immediately, let's just say I want to place this exploration tile, which, as you can see, has this little path, and different dragon riders can come down this path and get to the bottom, and if they do, this tile gets discarded, but you get a lot of points along the way. And once you get here, more than one dragon rider can be on here, but it can't be 2 of your same color. But someone else could get on and try to go down and race to the bottom here. But you can place this out here. Let's just go ahead and move on over to this side. Say, oh, you can place that for free. But if you do that, you have to place a worker on it. In this case, it'd have to be a dragon rider. And you'd pay this cost of minus, it says, a scroll and a spear to place it. And then from then on, as a free action, you can move down the path. So one of your free actions is placing a tile, which then you have to follow with your main action of placing a worker. A free action is, once you have one of these tiles, you can pay to move a dragon down to get more points. The other free action is using an ability on your dragons. So you can just say, oh, and you can use as many as you want. The other free actions you only do once. You can only do one of these per turn, and you can only move a dragon rider on a tile once. Now, if there's more than one of these, you can move both if you want to, but you can't move the same dragon more than once. So those are your free actions, using your special abilities and everything. But the thing is, a lot of these, and now these are a good example here, a lot of these will have only a lot of single places that only one worker can go. So even at the beginning, like I say, there's a lot of spots that everyone can go to and you can't block. But whenever you start placing these tiles out, you can start blocking. There's one that everybody can go to. You can have 5 people on here. Well, that's not technically true, because depending on the number of players, because basically these tiles will disappear if there are no vassals on these tiles, or if there's a certain number. I think it's 3 in a 2 to 3 player game, but if there's 3 workers on here, it goes away. So you can't overcrowd it, but you also can't leave it empty, otherwise it will disappear. But the point is, only one person can go here to get 2 spears. Only one person can go here to get 4 wood, or here for 4 iron. But the thing is, these tiles really give you so many good options. And like I say, you start off with 4 of them. So right off the bat, you have special places that you can put out here on the board, and it's going to let you do cool things. And since you place someone immediately, as soon as you place it, you can say, you know what, I need some wood. Place this, put your spearman on here, bam, 4 wood for me. No one else can go there right now unless you take them back, and then they can go there. Also, whenever you place one of these over here in the wilds, you get a resource of the spot that you're on. Either here you can get a vegetable or a meat, a vegetable, or a wood or an iron. So not only do you get to place your tile, which is great, but you also get resources. So that's really powerful. So basically that is the majority of the game. You're just placing your workers, placing these tiles out here, and you know, if you fill it up, that's important. If you fill this up so there's no more spots, you can pay a spear, so someone can say, I want to go, I need to put out one of my tiles, and it's all full. And you can only do this if it's full. You can take one of your tiles, and you can kick someone else's out and spend a spear. Now, doing that, not only does it make it to where you get to have your tile out there and place on it, it also kicks off any vassals that were on the other tile and sends them back to their owner, which you could even do that for yourself. Maybe you want to, instead of spending an action to get vassals back, you could just, if you have a few vassals on one tile, you could knock that tile out, get those vassals back as you place your another vassal on your new tile. So that's pretty cool. Now, there's 2 ways the game can end, 2 game end triggers. One is, and there's different lengths of the game, short, medium, or long. A certain number of tiles that leave the wilds from people, you know, either, like I say, it can leave from 2 reasons. It could either leave because, well, actually 3 reasons. One is there's no one on here. One is you have too many people on here, or you play a spear to get rid of it. If you have enough of these tiles off, they go into something called the Chronicle, and the Chronicle is all these tiles that get discarded, and if there's a certain number of them, game end triggers, and you're in your last round, and basically everyone else takes their turn, and that's it. Or the objective tiles, let me come around to the other side here. These objective tiles, as these come out, if there's a certain number of these, 4 or 5 of them out, that will trigger the end of the game. So and this is really important because these objective tiles are somewhat random in what gives you points. Most of them have to do with a certain type of dragon, like this one. These 2 dragons, basically what this means, and this is what the majority of them are based on, is if you have this type of dragon, for these 2 dragons, whoever has the most of these ability markers on those dragons of theirs, whoever has the most will get 10 points. Whoever has the second most gets 6, and whoever has the least gets 2. And you have to actually have at least 1 ability marker to get any points. So if you had neither one of these dragons, you couldn't even place on this. So a lot of the game, if you go this route where you're pulling these objective markers, you're trying to get dragons to be able to get these points. Although there are 2 other ones that aren't that way. One of them is whoever has the most vegetables and meat, although you can see it doesn't make that much of a difference in points. And also just the total number of ability markers on all dragons. That can be worth a lot. So, but all the other ones are just different dragons and what ability markers you have on them. Now here's the thing. You could go this route, try to get a lot of dragons and get the ability markers to get as many points as possible here. Or you can focus on trying to get the Chronicle filled up with however many tiles by going there, because you can get a lot of points. I mean, your power tile, let's see, my power tile for the blue guy, I can discard 4 scrolls to get 10 points. That's humongous. I can get rid of 2 wood and 2 iron to get 8 points. I can get rid of 4 spears to get 10 points. So you can get a bunch of points from these things. So maybe you focus on getting your points there and cycling out the Chronicle, and you try to rush that through and end the game that way as opposed to trying to fill this up. It's your choice how you want to end it. Of course, your opponent may not like what you're doing and they might try to end it the other way, but you can rush the end by doing this. Now, I just want to say a few more things because I've basically covered the gist of how the game works. I just want to cover what some of these places do so you get an idea of what the point is of all these different resources and what these action spaces do. Now, if you go here, you can draw 3 tiles, pick 1 to place out here. So that way you have a little bit of control over what comes out and what's going to give points. Now, not only do you get to choose out of the top 3 which one you want, but you can also put the other 2 that you don't pick back in any order, or you can even put them on the bottom. And then you have to pay a certain amount, like in this case 2 iron, but you get 5 points for placing it. So the cool part is you get points even if the tile's not good for you, which happened to me whenever I first played. You can still get points for placing it, and that's an awesome thing. So going there is always good if you can afford it, because you're going to get points, and you might get more points if the objective is actually beneficial to you. Now, here you can get draw a dragon. So if you spend an iron, a meat, a vegetable, a wood, and a spear, you can draw 3 dragons, which, by the way, the artwork on these is amazing. But you can draw 3 dragons, see which one you like the most, and you get to keep it. And again, you can put the other dragons back wherever you want. You can look at the abilities and see if you like it. Like in this case, you get rid of 2 meat and either 2 more meat or 2 vegetables, or a combination. And then you can get another dragon. So you can get your other dragon rider. That's pretty powerful. Or you can get rid of 2 meat to get 3 spears. Or you can just get 2 meat here. Or in this case, anytime you get at least 1 scroll, you get 2 more. And actually, I can't remember what that one means. They have a reference sheet that tells you what all these mean, and I can't remember this one. It might mean if you advance your dragon rider on one of those green tiles, if you advance your dragon rider, I think is what it means, then you get 2 additional points. Or if you get a spear, get 1 more spear. So there's a lot of different abilities you're going to find on these. That's useful enough as it is, but you're also having the chance to get more points on these objectives. Now, you can also, the 2 places that you can't, that only 1 person can go on in the city is here you get a spear, here you get 2 scrolls. Those are important because most everything else is spending. In fact, pretty much everything other than this, everything is pretty much spending something. So these are guaranteed ways to get some resources, and also here you can get a wood or an iron and get one of these tiles. Again, you have to pay here. You have to either pay 2 scrolls here, 1 scroll here, a scroll and a spear here, 2 scrolls and a spear. You have to pay to get them, unfortunately. But if you get from the number 3 or number 4 slot, you actually get points. So 2 points here, 3 points here. But as you empty them and you draw new ones, they're going to slide down over here to the cheaper but no extra points category. But the point is, the more you spend, you have a chance of getting points, and you get more tiles to put out here in the wilds. Then you have over here to get dragon riders, you have to pay 2 vegetables and 3 meat. So vegetables and meat typically are there to get you spearmen and dragon riders. If you spend 3 vegetables and 1 meat, you get a spearman. So the idea is spearmen are more vegetarian and dragons like a lot of meat, and which of course makes sense. I actually am kind of surprised they need any vegetables. But the point is, you're spending your food to get new workers. You're spending, over here, you're spending wood and iron to get more spears, which makes sense. I mean, thematically, there's actually some interesting stuff going on here because, you know, you use wood and iron to make spears. That way you have more weapons to do different things with. You go over here, you can get a vegetable, or you can just get a point. It's not a great spot, but hey, it's better than nothing. If you just need to get something, you have nowhere else good to go, you can go here to get a vegetable or a point. Over here, with a dragon rider, you can get a scroll. So if someone's hogging up this spot and there's no other way to get scrolls, you can at least go here to get 1. Over here, you can get rid of 2 iron to get 2 more ability markers. So if you realize, oh man, this objective over here needs more ability markers for one of these dragons, you can go there and put more ability markers out. Over here, you can get rid of 3 wood to get 2 ability markers. So there's different ways to do different things, but wood and iron help you get ability markers and spears. Food helps you get more workers. And in these different tiles that you're going to place out here, some of them, like I say, they just give you a bunch of stuff. Or you can give away things, like you can give away a spearman to get 6 scrolls, or give away 2 iron for 4 scrolls, etc. There's a lot of different things. Of course, in this one you can move to get more stuff. And this one I think I already showed you, you can get rid of scrolls to get points. So there's a lot of different things that are going to happen. And the fact that there's a lot of variation, like here you can get rid of 3 spears to get 9 points. That's this other guy's power tile. You can get rid of a spearman and a spear to get 8 points. And here you can have a lot of ways to just gain a bunch of stuff. And here you can get rid of scrolls to get a dragon. Although, see, normally whenever you get a dragon, you get 3 ability markers to put on it. In this case, you get rid of 2 scrolls, you get a dragon, but he only gets 1 ability marker. And here you go to 4, and then you can look at 4 and draw 1, you get 3 points, and then 1 ability marker. But the point is, as you play, you're going to keep on doing all these different things, adding these tiles, making it to where there's constantly new places to go, and it keeps everything interesting, and there's always somewhere good to go, which is one thing that I find nice about this. There's really never a time where you're like, man, there's just nothing good to do. No, there's always something you can do. So, that being said, that's how you play. That's a lot of the details. I didn't go over every detail, but hopefully that gives you a good idea of how this game works and what you're trying to do. So let's go back up top and we'll talk about what I think. Okay, so Simurgh is very much a worker placement game. I mean, it's all about getting your workers. You're just plopping them down in different locations and you're getting stuff. It's like most other worker placement games I've played, so that's not a good thing. And also, at least in the sense that I'm not a big fan of that mechanic that much. It's not that great to me in and of itself. But overall, I have to say the component quality is excellent. I mean, all the cardboard pieces are nice and thick. The artwork for the dragons is amazing. I'm very pleased with, you know, all of the components. I mean, maybe I should make a few qualifications. Just looking at it and the cardboard bits and everything, the meat nice and chunky like that. I do like almost all of it, but there are a few exceptions. These are great. I like the dragons, but the little standees, the plastic standees, I think are just, I don't know, they just seem a little cheap to me, but I can live with that. That's not a huge deal. That's just, you know, whatever. But the part that does bother me are the player boards, because as you could see, the squares are so tiny that a lot of the pieces are too big to fit in the little square. And that's kind of frustrating to me because I like it to look neat and contained well, and these pieces just take up too much space. That's the only problem. I like the way they look, but they take up too much space for how tiny that little player board is. They should have made the player boards bigger, in my opinion, made the squares bigger, that way stuff could actually fit in there, or make the other things smaller. But apart from those caveats, I'm really impressed with the overall production here. I guess I could complain and say that maybe the board is just a little on the crowded side. I mean, so much of this there's just a lot of artwork, and trying to keep track of things, you kind of have to focus in on the board and see, oh, what was that again? But it looks good still. Even though it's a little busy for my taste visually, I still like the way it looks. The artwork is really nice and it's enjoyable. So I'm not going to, overall the components get a thumbs up from me. And I like dragons, and the dragons look cool, so that's great. As far as the replayability goes, for a worker placement game, I think there's a good bit of replayability here because first of all, the initial setup is a little different. What tiles you get in your hand at the beginning will be different from game to game, which means that you have different options each time. I think that's a good thing. What dragon you start off with is going to be different. That's important, and that makes it to where every game you have some information and power, ability, whatever, that's going to help guide you in some direction possibly, or help you. And you have information of what tiles could be out and available to play that other people don't know. That's great, and it makes the replayability, I think, good. However, I should say, I've only played this game once, and the reason why I'm reviewing it after only playing it once is I know the way I feel about worker placement games, so I know pretty much right off the bat what I think about this. So even though I haven't played a lot to see the replayability, I can see that it's there. It is there if you like this type of game. Now, strategy-wise, there's a good bit of strategy here, which is a good thing for me. I like having a lot of strategy. You know, you're trying to decide where to place your guys, just like in any other worker placement game. So it just is what it is. You're trying to decide: do I want to play here? Do I want to play there? What's the most efficient way I can get these different items so that I can get what I'm trying to shoot for? Or should I draw more tiles so I can, you know, put more tiles over here in the wilds? All that's interesting, and not only that, but you can, if it's full, you can purposely get rid of tiles that maybe other people are taking advantage of to put in your tiles, and all that is exciting and interesting. And the fact that there's two ways to end it, and you can accelerate that ending, is, in my opinion, a great thing, because from my experience, a lot of worker placement games can get really bogged down and get too slow. Here, at least you can say, you know what, let's start pummeling through these tiles over here to get, you know, however many gone in the chronicle, or flip over more tiles, objective tiles, and fill it up to 4 or 5. That way we can just end the game. You can speed it up if you see that you're doing well, and I think that's a good thing. And I think it's cool that you're rewarded for pulling out the objective tiles, because you may not even benefit from an objective tile when you look at the 3 and put one down. They may all be bad for you, which happened to me, but you still get points, which is great. And I think that's awesome, because they make it to where everything feels like you're doing something useful for yourself. I like that a lot. So yeah, components are good. Replayability is there for this type of game. And what was the other thing? Strategy. There's strategy there. but it's a worker placement game. So what do I think? Well, to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. That may be low to some people for this type of game, but for me that's pretty good, because I would be willing to play this for the most part. It's not a game I would just recommend for someone to go buy, but I like it. It's enjoyable, it's entertaining, and I am happy it's in my collection. Why is that? What is it about this that kind of goes above and beyond other worker placement games that I've played? Because I've played Agricola, I've played Caverna, I've played Viticulture, and some other ones that I don't really remember. I think maybe one was called Town Hall, and I remember that being my favorite of the bunch, but I didn't really like, and I know people love Agricola, I know people love Caverna, they think those are amazing games, but this game to me is better, and I think part of it's because basically the way this game works, I feel like there's just more options. There's more, people, it feels like in some of those other games, like people can really ruin your day whenever they take certain spots that you really need. Especially whenever I played Agricola, it was, I mean, there were times it was so frustrating. Now, there is a difference here. Me and my wife played this. We only played it with 2 players. And whenever I played Agricola, we might have had 5 players, I don't know. And that my wife wasn't involved with that one, which is a good thing because she would have had a miserable time. Because I know what she likes, and she would, and to be honest, she didn't like this pretty much at all. I think she said she'd give it a 2 out of 10, and I think, and the reason is because the same reason why I don't like worker placement games. Typically, there's very little player interaction. You're just taking a spot, then they take a spot. The only thing you can do that's interacting at all, for the most part, is taking a spot so someone else can't get it. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, it's not, for me, that's not enough player interaction. I almost feel like I'm playing solitaire on my own, and my wife's playing solitaire, I'm playing solitaire, let's see who plays solitaire better and wins faster. That's not that exciting, but what makes this one stand apart, and I can understand why she doesn't like it. I don't blame her for it, because, again, worker placement I don't really like, and apparently she doesn't either. It's not her type of thing. But what makes this one stand out for me, and I like more, is the fact that I feel like every action is interesting. You can purposely kick people's tiles out that they're using, and you can, which honestly I probably should have done that in the game we were playing a lot quicker, because my wife made a lot of points using one particular power tile that she placed early. She was just racking up the points, and she beat me ultimately because of it. But the thing is, here it feels like, you know, even if someone's over here, there's nowhere where someone can go where it feels like, wow, that's what I needed, now I can't do anything. I don't feel that way at all here, and the fact that you can draw all these extra tiles to put out in the wilds to keep getting awesome places to go, that's great. I mean, my gosh, look at this. Like this one. You go here, you get 4 scrolls by putting either a dragon rider or a spearman. 4 scrolls. Or this one, you get a scroll and you get another dragon. Or this one, you can give up 1 vegetable to get 3 meat. There's a lot of cool tiles, so every time that you start maybe feeling like, boy, I wish I had something better to do, go over here, get a new tile. And you can even get points for getting tiles if you pay enough for it, if it's one of those at the, you know, at the 4 or 3 spot. I mean, that's great, and I like that. So I'm belaboring the point. I'm just excited that this exceeded my expectations. I apologize for going on so long, but yes, this game is fun for me. Again, it's not a game I just recommend, because worker placement games have too little interaction for my taste. Therefore, I fear disappointing people by saying, hey, you should get this game, because I want more interaction. But for a worker placement game, definitely willing to play it. I enjoy it. It's fun. So that is my review of Simurgh. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you know, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And if you want to see more reviews and other hilarious things of my Versus series against critics of different games I like, please subscribe so you can see more. And I really look forward to seeing you on the next one. So y'all take care, and I will see you then. Bye.